We're live with Princeton coach Chris Ayres. Coach, thanks for taking the time this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Coach, I've wanted to talk to you for a while. I've been watching your program the last few years while I've been covering college wrestling. You've really, been improving the team, and getting to see you at some dual meets, EIWAs, some opens. You had your best year this year as far as the NCAAs go. Can you talk a little bit about this year's team and the process of building a program?
Yeah, so this year's team was pretty special in that we were pretty balanced throughout the lineup, and I knew we had some guys that could place pretty high at the NCAAs. We hadn't had one the year before, so it just was a question of who could punch through. And fortunately, at the end of the year, I guess the highlight of the year was Brett Harner, punching through. We do have a very team-based approach, but I think with Brett, he represented a lot of different things for our program. We haven't had an All-American in a long time, so our program has been through a lot in that growth. We've had a lot of alumni support. In my early years, it was pretty tough here, and we weren't winning a lot, so kids were fighting through that. So I think him placing really marked a moment in time where all those people can reflect and appreciate what just happened. And him doing it kind of was like they all got a piece of that as well. So that was obviously the highlight of the season. And then just building up to that, it's been baby steps the whole way. I get a question a lot, which is funny. It's sort of like, what happened? What was the thing that totally changed your program? I think a lot of people who aren't in a situation where they're trying to build something understand there's not this magical moment where everything changes and we did this one thing and now we're awesome. It's been piece by piece, brick by brick. But I will say the rebuilding process basically revolved around people. We got a lot of people supporting our program from within the university community. We always had the alumni support. We got the right coaches, and that was a big change. When I got here, it was just me and one head assistant. Since then, we've added Joe Dubuque's position and also Nick Heflin as the volunteer assistant. So a lot of things have helped, lead us to the point where we're doing a lot better right now.
So is it, just to go back and just parse what you're saying here, has the administrative support gradually grown, or did they just decide, hey, we're going to prioritize wrestling, and then there was incremental support after that, or has it been a mutual thing? Oh, you're getting better, we're going to keep adding support.
I think it's all those things. I think what we've done well here as a staff is, for my administrators, our wins are their wins. A lot of times with wrestling, I don't think wrestling coaches pull in their administrators and make them part of the team. They have their wrestling room. They just want to sit in there and work hard and do their thing and try to win matches, where we've really tried to create relationships with everybody in the university and really make this team their team. So I think it's been a gradual process, and they see that we can be good and we're attracting great kids. So I think it's been gradual, and it just keeps getting better.
Okay. Now the atmosphere, I've been to a few matches there, both at Jadwin and Dillon. And I mean, the atmosphere is awesome. Like when you guys were wrestling Lehigh, it was I don't want to say it was apoplectic, but it was an exciting college atmosphere.
For sure.
How long has it taken to build that kind of atmosphere?
Well, it's taken 10 years. Again, when I first got here, it was just me and another assistant.
Yeah.
So the things that fell to the wayside were promotions and marketing. We were recruiting, trying to build a team. It took up a lot of time. When I was able to add Joe's position and he came in, the first thing I told him is I said, hey, you're in charge of promotions and marketing. He's really good at setting up a calendar that he shares with all of us, and he kind of spearheads everything. And so I think that's been helping a lot. We do promote a lot, and also the team's getting better. I mean, I've always said that if you start winning, people will come. Right. The other thing is we wrestle really good teams. Our schedule in the Ivy League last year was arguably the toughest. It was the toughest between us and Cornell. Amongst the other Ivy League teams, it wasn't even close. We wrestled 5 or 6 teams in the top 20. So
Yeah.
you bring in good teams, Big Ten teams and Lehighs, and people get excited about that,
Yeah.
and they realize, and we're competing with those teams. So then they say, "Wow, Princeton's pretty darn good,"
Yeah.
and so every year that's grown. Uh, I just want to pack both gyms and have them full, and just create an environment that wrestling deserves.
I like it. The interesting thing to me was just the we'll call it the passionate student base that I saw,
Yeah,
and you just don't see that at a lot of even packed gyms.
yeah.
So it's a pretty exciting thing to see the student body being so supportive.
And that's just an interesting about Princeton. They don't say the athletes aren't separated from the general student body. When our guys leave here, they kind of just blend in with everyone else. And it turns out to be a pretty cool thing in that they have a lot of social groups. Some of my wrestlers live with other wrestlers. Some of my wrestlers live with all non-wrestlers. And that's what you get at the matches. You get the kids that are roommates of our guys who, brought some other friends. And it's kind of a unique thing that I don't really, like you're saying, I don't really see that at other places. I often think athletes are totally segregated from the student body. We don't have that here, which is pretty neat.
I'm not sure if you're going to be uncomfortable with this, but so few guys can build a program. It's just obvious from watching wrestling. Can you tell me who influenced you the most? Because you're not just building a good Ivy League program; you're building a really solid program across the board. Who are the guys that influenced you along the way?
Um, Man, that's a. Here's the thing. I am so blessed. When I list you, some of the people that I've been fortunate enough to work with, I can't. I look back and I'm just so grateful. I just can't believe how this happened in my life, because the thing I love most is wrestling, and now I'm a D1 head coach. But it was all about the people who touched me. So one of my high school coaches was the best high school coach in the country, arguably Jeff Buxton.
Yep.
So pretty early, and I only went there for 1 year as a PG, but I had trained there over the summers. And so I knew him well. I knew how he ran his program. My high school coach, Rick Peterson, and also this guy that helped me a lot, Billy Cuff, were also influential. But I had Jeff Buxton, the best high school coach. Then I go to college, and they switch coaches, and my head coach is Craig Stroll. So this guy just came off being the Olympic coach.
Yeah.
He's head coach at Foxcatcher, so he comes in. His assistant is Pat Santoro, who's rebuilt the Maryland program, and then went to Lehigh and brought that to another level. And then I worked with Kerry McCoy, who brought up the Stanford program. So really, I've been just blessed with the people that I've been surrounded by. And one thing that I do is I try to be creative, but I copy a lot of things too. So I've been influenced by those coaches, particularly the guys that I worked with day in and day out. But I'm pretty observant of everything around me, so I also copy a lot of things and just implement them into our own program. So yeah, I mean, I've been so lucky to have been touched by so many great coaches.
When you took over, did you imagine this was going to happen?
Yeah, I imagine it was going to happen a whole lot faster, to be honest. I mean,
Okay.
maybe I was a little overconfident.
Yeah.
But the 5 years I was coaching at Lehigh as an assistant, we were top 10 every year.
Yeah.
We were third, we were fourth, which is very high. You're getting trophies at that point. In my mind, I thought, hey, I just bring what we do here down to Princeton, and voila, we're gonna be crushing it. I didn't really know how to coach that well, to be honest with you, and I was a little naive. I came in, and there wasn't a ton of support when I got here. Most of the kids on the team, had gotten in on their own. Essentially, were not recruited student athletes.
I see.
And so, we had crazy me, like they used to wrestle some D3 programs and D2 programs, and then some Ivies. They didn't have a ton of D1 matches the few years prior to me coming, and I came in and I was like, oh no, we're going to have a D1 schedule, no D3. Need to know, what it looks like. And and it was tough. I made it really hard on those guys, and I might, if I could go back in time, I might change it a little bit, because it was just tough years when I first got here, and what I learned is we weren't winning at all for several years. We didn't win a dual meet. We hardly won any individual matches. So I had to learn quickly how to keep people motivated under duress.
Right.
I mean, to keep everything together in this environment was a challenge, because they're at Princeton. They didn't come here to wrestle.
Right.
You know, they have this backup plan to wrestling. That if they leave the wrestling mat, they're gonna end up pretty good. So keeping guys on the mat and getting them to know they're part of a future vision and they're laying the groundwork for what we are now was instrumental, I think, to keeping morale high and keeping us going in the right direction. We celebrated a lot of little victories during that time too. So, yeah, it's taken longer than I anticipated. But after my first year though here, I knew this was going to be a brick by brick operation. It wasn't going to happen overnight.
I was going to ask you this later, but you've brought it up. You said something like, "I wasn't a very good coach when I got here." How have you? And you were good at motivating. It sounds like, but tell me, how have you improved? How have you evolved? How have you changed as a coach with the program?
I think when I got here, I wasn't very adaptive. I had this plan. You fit into my plan.
I see. Right.
And you operate around me. What I think I've done better as I've gotten older is sort of adapting to teams, because every team's different. It's funny. You can't do the same thing every single year and expect the same results. You have to make these in-season adjustments to your team. Same with administration. We had a different AD when I got here. We just recently got another AD. So you got to make those adaptations, I think, as you go. So that was the big change. It was like, I think I sort of adapted to the group better and responded better with them, rather than me saying, like, dictator, this is the way it's going to be, and you fit into my plan. I think that was the main thing.
Gotcha.
And then just working on things outside of the wrestling room. As an assistant, you just don't realize. I thought I knew. I thought I knew everything that Coach Strobel had to deal with. I said, I could do that. That's, not easy. I didn't say it was easy, but I thought, I can handle all those things.
Yep.
You just, when you're a head coach, the things all fall on your shoulders. And you have to be aware of every piece of the puzzle, from the athlete training to what's going on socially, to the fundraising, to pulling in administration, to creating a schedule. And so, understanding all those facets I didn't get from coming. I was a good in-the-room coach.
Right.
Those other areas I had to work hard at.
Gotcha. So segueing to your career, you said that you were introduced to wrestling by your family. How old were you when you started wrestling?
I was in 4th grade, but it's funny. I was introduced by my family, but I was always drawn to it.
Okay.
At my school, you couldn't start wrestling until 4th grade.
Okay.
But every year, from 2nd or 1st even to 4th grade, I kept asking them to break the rule. I said, please, will you let me wrestle? I really want to wrestle. At the time, my uncle was in high school, so I was seeing him wrestling, and my dad would take me to matches, and it just fit me well. Like if I was out on the playground, I might have gotten in trouble a bunch of times.
Yes.
Things might have got a little out of hand with some other kids who were roughhousing. But so 4th grade is when I started. But I've always been drawn to it for some reason.
So do you know can you remember what that reason was? Was it the contact, the excitement?
Yeah, I was an only kid, and I was at an early age, I really loved winning. But worse than that, I was not a good loser. So if I lost in sports, I'd get really upset, really upset. And then I would get even more upset that the other kids weren't upset. So then I was thinking to myself, these kids aren't like serious about winning like I'm serious about winning. And that kind of carried on through my whole athletics career until I just cut out all the other sports and I was like, I just want to be in charge. And I probably thought I was a better athlete in those other sports than I really was. But in my mind, I did everything I could to win, and I felt like other people were not. So that was one thing: is I hated to lose. And if I lost, I wanted to be on me. And then two, I was just a crazy, wild kid. Like I loved physical contact. I hated touch football. I wanted to play on the playground, tackle football.
Yep.
Age, I'd get in trouble there too. So I just needed that outlet. I was just naturally drawn to that physical toughness or whatever.
We talked at a different time about having hippie parents. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah.
Can I ask? So, in my upbringing, my parents were against physical contact, and I was drawn to it. Was there anything like that? I mean, was there anything?
My dad was that. I grew up blue collar. My dad was construction.
Okay.
My mom was a corrections officer for a time, and she worked, as driving around ambulances. What do they call EMT? She was EMT. So for me, it was blue collar. Like that was you wrestle. That's what you're supposed to do. So
that's it. Okay.
My dad was like, "Go, be rough, have fun," So I didn't get any resistance there at all.
Okay, so you were a good high school wrestler.
Yeah.
But maybe not a highly recruited high school wrestler.
I wasn't that good.
You walk on at Lehigh, a tough, high-level wrestling program. Was it in your mind in high school when you chose Lehigh that I'm going to get better? And what's the mindset there that you're going to go into the toughest rooms in the country and walk on and make a name for yourself?
I just always believed in myself, to be honest, and I always worked really hard. And I really believed in the concept that hard work pays off. I actually was not going to wrestle in college, so I finished my high school career. I wanted to be a state champ. I didn't place, so I was devastated. And I said, I'm done with this. It isn't fair, et cetera, et cetera. And then my mom and dad and one of my actually elementary coaches sat me down. I can remember in my kitchen, and they were like, they didn't even give me a choice. They go, "No, you're wrestling." And I said, "Well, this isn't fair." Blah blah. Basically, my dad's like, "You're being a baby. You need to see this out and finish it up, and you need to go to college and wrestle." And so that was a good moment for me because it was like, okay, stop feeling sorry for yourself. Keep working hard. Good things are going to happen. And so that's how I kind of went on that path. I had, again, the fortunate experience at PG'd at Blair. That was transformative for me because I got into a room where there was a ton of state champs. So back then, we had a whole college team. And this basically, we'd go around and we'd wrestle JVs of colleges, we'd wrestle in college tournaments. But that team that year was incredible. We had like state champs from New Jersey. We had guys that took second. The state champ from my weight was on my team. And so what was funny was in high school, I trained so hard, and these other guys were winning states, and I thought, wow, they must train so much harder. What's their secret? How do they do it? Because I didn't have any state placers in my room. So I go to Blair, and I see how they operate, and I'm like, these guys don't work hard at all. I can outwork all these guys. And it was an epiphany for me. It made them human. So then at Blair, it was all mindset. At Blair, I started beating those guys, and I was like, yeah, I belong here. And it wasn't like these guys don't, but I was like, I will outwork all these guys. So that's what changed for me. Kind of the same thing at Lehigh. I had a lot of good guys around my weight. When I got there, the team was very good. They won Easterns. My redshirt year, there was a lot of seniors. And so, I had great measuring sticks to see where I stood. I worked out with 2 All-Americans almost every single day, and I could hang with them. So I knew that was it was just understanding where I fit in the wrestling world. In high school, before Blair, I just didn't know. I actually, when I look back in high school, I probably trained harder than I did in college, but the mindset wasn't there. I didn't know where I belonged, and so that was a big change for me.
Just to go back and flesh this out a little bit more, because it's one of the weakest areas, I think, in American wrestling is attention to the mental game of wrestling.
Oh.
Kids, technique is technique, and there is better technique in many areas, but it seems like if most people ignore the mental approach. Was that the lone thing? Was your technique off too, or was it just your mental?
My technique was great. I think I was one of the best technicians in high school. I was obsessed with technique.
Yep.
Literally, I would watch Russians and other high. I swear, I was obsessed with Sergei Beloglazov, John Smith, and like I said, I copy a lot of things. So I'd watch them and learn a lot just from watching their matches. I was literally obsessed with technique. So I had technique. The one thing I didn't have was physical maturity. I weighed 135 pounds. My senior year, I was the same height I am now. I ended up at 57, being an All-American, so I got muscles a little bit. But the mental piece was the hugest piece by far. Funny thing, I'll bring up one thing, that losing, how I mentioned earlier, I hated losing.
Yeah.
That fear of failure really restricted my competitiveness. Okay. It was a huge debilitating factor in me being successful. For example, when I lost, I hadn't lost until region finals my senior year. When I lost, I was out of it for about 4 days. Literally, I was in a depression almost because I had just lost. I came back, I won the first round of states or something along those lines. Then I lost the second round. I got caught or something, and I couldn't handle it. I totally had a meltdown. I couldn't get over the loss, and therefore I never placed. So probably the best mental thing I got was learning how to bounce back quickly. I learned that, hey, you got to get over this quick if you want to place. That's actually how I placed at NCAAs, to be honest. I mean, I bagged it when I was a senior in high school, and it's my biggest wrestling regret. I probably could have taken third, but I was so devastated I couldn't be a state champ. I took my ball and went home, basically, and I didn't wrestle back well. In college, every year at NCAA, and I was in the wrestlebacks every year, unfortunately. Every year I said, I'm not doing that again. I'm going to bounce back and wrestle well. So yeah, mental piece, mentality, there's so many things, learning how to relax, bouncing back from bad losses, all those things definitely contributed to me doing well in college.
Nice. Well, all right, thanks for that, because that mental part is really, even at the youth level, trying to talk about it, parents just sort of tune out. I'm like, guys, this is it. Like, if your kid can't get over it, even my own son, when he lost his first match, he was devastated. I'm like, John,
I agree totally. I'm with that with my son too. And in my room, that failure thing is tough because I tell my guys I want them to fail in the room because they don't try enough stuff.
Right.
So they always revert back to what they've always done. So it's hard to gain new stuff because they want to win and they don't want to lose. So I try to, I just say fail, get taken down, get turned trying some stuff.
Growing through failure is key.
Practice. So that was a big thing for me to learn. In my life, definitely.
Anything else you can talk about as far as peaking in college before we go to this year's team coming up?
That's a good question. Here, I'll give you a great one actually. This is I don't know. This is some really good stuff. So my coach was the Olympic coach, and he was really good for me mentally. I'm going to throw a couple things at you mentality-wise. So I always viewed wrestling as this squeeze, and it's really hard, and you got to be mean and tough, and all these type of things. And most of my coaches kind of fell into that line, and it was definitely a great thing to get me to a high level. But then I meet Strobel, and Strobel's a totally different kind. I don't know if you've met him, but it's he's like, wrestling's all about having fun. So he's kind of got this jovial mood about wrestling, even at practice and stuff. You know, these horrible hard practices, he'd be laughing and, oh, wasn't that fun? We just went an hour straight, and blood's coming out of your nose, but you start laughing yourself. So one thing that he got me to relax a little bit and have fun and realize it's a sport and to be free and use it like an art almost and to play with it a little bit. So that was the first thing. The other thing that he gave me, my freshman year, we're heading into EIWAs, and I had a pretty darn good freshman year, especially considering my history in high school. I don't think anyone expected much, but I put myself in a pretty good position at the EIWAs. So we're about 2 weeks out from the EIWAs, and practices are like so easy. I'm like, what's going on here? We got EIWAs in a few weeks. We should be going hard, like 2-hour goes. We should go twice a day. So I'm concerned about my own success in this tournament. Yeah. So I go to Coach Strobel. I call him on it. So I go into his office. In a nice way, I'm like, hey, Coach, I thought he checked out. Maybe he thought we weren't going to do well or something, you know? So he's coached the Olympic team. Now he's got a bunch of, college guys. We're not good enough. So I go, hey, Coach, I was like, we got Easterns in 2 weeks. Like, what are we doing? I feel like we should be going harder. He goes, Ayres, trust me. He goes, guess what? We're going to go less. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, everything that I've done, you get close to the competition, you got to go harder. He's like, no, it's called a taper. He's like, we're going to do less. He goes, I want you dying to wrestle. I want you so pent up that you just can't wait to get out there and kill somebody. And so he's the Olympic coach, right? Yeah. So I'm like, I'll do whatever he says, basically. So I trusted him. I think I was third seed, and I made it to the final. So I did better than anticipated, and had a really good finals match with Brett Matter, who was also a freshman at the time, who eventually was an NCAA champion. We butted heads a lot, but it was a pretty cool thing, and I wrestled really well. And then at NCAAs, I did okay, but I probably had one of my best performances in the postseason. I learned a lot from that about tapering, pulling back, and really getting ready for that postseason. So that was one amazing thing I learned from Coach Strobel, and that kind of mentally that it's a little different than you think as a wrestler's mentality.
It's interesting. Everybody that I've talked to who's peaked at a higher level, whether it's college or Olympic styles, they all have this connection with a coach who opened their mind up to a new idea about competition and the sport. That's really emphasizes the importance of coaching and being open to coaching.
For sure.
To reach your potential. Going back to Princeton, you've been really successful this season, and you've been building. Can you talk a little bit about this year's recruiting class? I think you're allowed to talk about that.
Yeah.
Right?
So we have 7 recruits. Every single one of them won a state title. So that's pretty unique. We've never had that. I like this class. There's a lot of balance, but we have nationally ranked guys as well. The class was ranked by, I think Amateur Wrestling News had us at 21. We were in the preseason win. I don't think they did a postseason one yet. We were ranked in it. So this rounds out 4 classes in a row that we were top 25. So our room, it's a beautiful thing to walk into the room these days and see practice every day, and we have just great wrestling going on in every section of the room.
What's it like now? Because you've been at this for a while, your body's getting older. Is it getting harder on you as a coach wrestling with these guys and competing in the room?
Yeah, because they're good. I mean, I'm getting worse. They're getting better. I kind of joke, though, for every year above their age, I get a pound. So basically, okay. I'm down to like 141 is my area that I usually wrestle. I'm joking. I actually still love wrestling. I probably wrestle 3 days a week when I can. Sometimes it's in the morning just doing technique with guys, but I love going live. And so it's definitely harder because they're so much better as well. And I'm getting a little bit older and slower, but I love every second. The great thing about wrestling, when you're in there doing it, is I learn stuff from the guys too. It's such a unique thing in wrestling where it's a two-way it's a two-way street in terms of teaching each other. I mean, I learned stuff from Jonathan Schlafer and Brett Harner, and I give them a lot of stuff too. I might show them something, and we're working on something, and they say, "I tweak this a little bit," and so I just love getting in there. I love the interaction of actually competing with the guys and drilling with the guys, and I'll I kind of joke. Everyone's like, "Hey, when do you think you'll stop competing with the guys?" And I said, "Well, Coach Buxton stopped when he got a new hip. Coach Strobel stopped when he got a new hip. So I think I'm going to make it until I need a new hip." Basically, when I need a hip replacement is probably when I'll call it quits of wrestling on the mat.
You're not experiencing any hip pain right now, are you?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, just checking.
So, yeah, good.
So you and Rutgers have a pretty big match planned this year outside. Going to be one of the biggest attended matches, hopefully, in the history of the sport, if not the biggest. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so we're wrestling Rutgers November 11th, or is it 19th? I think it's 19th. I'm sorry, November 19th. Outside, it's before their Penn State football game, and it's going to be awesome. We've sold quite a few tickets already. We're selling only group tickets now, so you have to buy 20 or more. The ticket price is ridiculous. We just want to put people in the seats, so it's only $6 a ticket. That's been going well. For me, personally, as you mentioned, our matches have gotten a lot better. They're pretty exciting. I'm all about showcasing our sport. I've been talking about this a lot. I wrote a blog on it as well. I'm sick of the term "let's save wrestling." It's getting old. Wrestling doesn't need saving. It's been around for forever.
Yep.
It's one of the most exciting sports. We just got to figure out how to showcase it. One great example is Beat the Streets, the match in Times Square. The Oklahoma State-Iowa match.
Yeah.
That was incredible. We need more stuff like that. So when Scott Goodale brought it up to us, we talked about it for about 20 minutes, just saying, what can we do? Do we think we can really pack this thing? And after 20 minutes, we were all like, yeah, let's do this. So it's a coordinated effort. It's their event at their home place, but we're working hard too. We have tickets we're selling. We're calling high school coaches. We think we can get a ton of people. We think at the very least, it'll be the most people to witness a match in New Jersey, a dual meet. And then beyond that, hey, we're chasing the record if we can, and if everything works out. If New Jersey steps up and supports the event, it'll be awesome. This isn't really about Rutgers. This really isn't about Princeton. It's about New Jersey wrestling and showing how awesome it can be. For me, I've put my neck out. I've told my administrators that this is going to be a crazy event. We need to get behind it. And they're behind us. So we need to show what we can do with this thing. I'm really excited, and I hope everyone comes out to this one.
So, Jersey, I'm a shameless Pennsylvania homer. But, I live next door to Jersey, and the wrestling with the rise of Princeton, Rutgers, and Ryder, James Green, Jordan Burroughs, tons of talent coming out of that state. It just seems like New Jersey is like a pent-up bottle of champagne with a cork blowing off right now, because the fans are just as passionate as I've ever seen in my 30 years around the sport, 40 years around the sport. It's great to see. So I hope that they come out. And can you tell me, is there a bad weather plan?
Yeah, so basically this is important. If there's inclement weather, it's going to have to be pretty bad. There's probably going to have to be moisture.
Right.
Because we want to do this outside really bad. And there'll be heat. The mat will be heated. There'll be heaters outside. So they've talked to Iowa how they pulled it off. So I think that the cold isn't going to be too much of an issue. But if it is raining or snowing, we're going to go into the rack. So you have to get the first 8,000 tickets. And I can promise probably by the end of July, those tickets are going to be gone. Gotcha. So we really need to push. We really need to push, but also people really need to get those tickets to ensure that they get into the rack in case there's inclement weather.
Gotcha. All right. So
hey, don't forget Frank Molinaro, too, from Jersey. He just had a ridiculous World Cup.
No doubt.
There's another Jersey guy.
No doubt. And you know what? He's got the same hairdo you have. So I'm just
got the hairdo.
I love it. All right. So we're talking about the season. Do you have big goals for the team this season you're willing to share, or are you just a week by week during the season, Coach?
So, no, we always have goals at the beginning of the year. I have them. It's usually the first week. I really have them decide what our goals are, but we're all kind of on the same page. And it's funny you keep saying we had the best season, and just from my mentality, we underperformed at EIWAs. We were fifth.
Yeah.
I really believe we should have been third. We had some guys step up for sure, but we had a couple guys place a little lower. Even NCAAs, I think we had a couple guys who could have been All-Americans that weren't. So for me, last year we overcome some hurdles, but we could have done more. So this year, there's no reason with our lineup we can't compete with every team in the conference, EIWA wise. So in my mind, we should be top three in the EIWA. And then you get into the NCAA, we need multiple All-Americans. We need someone putting themselves in position to be an NCAA champion. And then we need to be in the top 20 at the very least. And so we have the team to do it. It's just they have to decide that they're going to make that next jump, and we have to push them there.
I don't know historically, but you finished like 30, 31 this year?
So, yeah, in that range.
In that range.
Exactly.
And a couple years ago, you were, we'll just say, maybe times two. That's around 60.
In the beginning, there was a zero next to our name for a bunch of years.
I'm guessing top 20 will be the best in school history, but I don't know.
So there was a team in '78, I think, that was very good that won the EIWAs, and my alums are going to probably
sorry, don't want to put you on the spot
if I get that date wrong, but I think it was '78, and they had a good NCAA. I'm not sure. I should know this, but I have to figure out what the highest placement was for Princeton ever at the NCAAs. There was a year they had 2 All-Americans and one in the finals. That was probably their best year, 85. So 78 or 85, I got to look back and see which was. But, dual meet wise and what we've done at NCAAs and the number of qualifiers, 5 is the most ever.
Yeah.
I think if we have less than 5 next year, I will say that was not a success. Okay. I think we should have the most ever. I really think we have 10 guys that can make it to the NCAAs. Will 10 guys make it? It's unlikely, but we have the potential.
Okay. I wanted to just talk a little bit about you and the coaching staff. I've seen you guys at opens and matches and beat the streets. The thing that's striking about watching you guys is you look like the loosest coaching staff I see at the D1 level. You haven't, not necessarily mat side during competition, but it's like a pack of puppies.
Yeah.
You just kind of. Can you talk a little bit about how you've assembled the staff and the relationship with the staff? You got some really quality guys, Joe and Sean and Nick.
Pack of puppies. That's pretty good. I actually could gravitate towards that. It all really gets back to having fun. We work a lot. We are away from our families a lot. We hustle for the program. I think the backbone of what we do is we just want to outwork our opponents. Just like when I was wrestling, I see who's at tournaments.
Yeah.
From my competitors, and I see who's recruiting and those type of things. And so we put in a lot of time, so we might as well make it fun. Our office, it's so funny. We're down in the bottom of Jadwin Gym, but we get so many visitors. It's hilarious because people come in and we actually bust on them and make fun of them, but they feel part of our team, and it's pretty cool. We bust on each other pretty hard. So I think and with our team too, I learned this at Lehigh as well. It's a long season. You got to be loose. You got to have fun with it. If you watch right now, like I said, I watch teams. If you watch Penn State, they're the best team in the country, right? It's pretty undeniable right now what they're doing. Of course, they have talent. There's no doubt about it. They get the best kids. But give the guys credit who are coaching them. That team is loose as they come.
Yeah.
They're going out there. They're making wrestling exciting. They're making a lot of attempts. And they're having fun. They're doing it with a smile. So for me, I just want to have fun with it. And we're getting to a position with the program where things are fun. We're winning. We have guys that have big aspirations. We have guys on our team right now that want to be Olympians. It's a whole different mentality. So That's a great one. I love that. A pack of puppies. We really are. We're together all the time, and we have a lot of fun together. So I actually appreciate that you recognize
I mean,
that.
it's really it's marked to me. I mean, I've seen you guys for the last couple of years. I'm like, those guys are having so much fun. It's like I want to be part of that. Like that's.
It is. It is. We got a lot of people come down and want to be a part of it too.
I bet it's because it's contagious.
Cool.
Can you just the mental approach? A lot of people, especially old school people, maybe think that intensity and fun are mutually exclusive, but they're really connected. You can have fun and be. I mean, it's part of the intensity, so you don't burn out. I guess you kind of touched on it. Anything else you could say about it?
Yeah, I mean, hard work is fun.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta love that grind, and what I think I've taken away watching D1 seasons, coaching a team that struggled and wasn't winning.
Yeah.
You understand quickly that there is nothing in athletics tougher than a Division I wrestling season.
Right.
There's zero things that are tougher than that.
Yeah.
And so what you get from that is you got to own that a little bit and know that, hey, I'm tough.
Yeah.
I'm in this situation with these other guys. We're like a band of brothers going to war. And you have that piece, but you're having fun doing it.
Yeah.
And keeping it light. Because that's the way it's got to be. You can't be super intense the whole time. You'll just wear yourself out.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. That's kind of what I take away from it. You got to embrace the toughness of a situation. And when it's tough, there's a quote, I think Patton or someone said it, it's like, I love someone that can smile in the toughest of situations.
Yeah.
Like when things are just really hard and you're dying and your sweat's pouring out, you're bleeding and you can't catch your breath. And I see one of my guys smile. That makes me so happy because they're just enjoying the adversity. And so I could go on with so many things about, I really believe adversity is the key to growth. So if you're growing and getting better in those adverse situations, you might as well smile because heck, that's when you're in the sweet spot.
Yeah.
You're getting pushed like that. So
Creative tension.
yeah, I don't know. I kind of went on and on there.
That's all right. It's the same thing. It reminds me of, I think it's a Viktor Frankl quote where it's suffering ceases to be suffering when you find meaning in it, and that toughness. I mean,
It's a good one.
And you hear it all the time from NFL players or MMA guys. There's nothing tougher than, even the Olympians say, there's nothing tougher than being in that college room.
Nothing. And you know what's tough? Like, and I think this is where you, as a coach, I have a ton of respect for the guys who don't start.
Yeah.
I have a ton of respect for the guys who come in and day out and help Brett Harner become an All-American.
Yeah.
For me personally, one of the traditions at Lehigh is you give a senior speech. I don't think it's uncommon in programs. I think it happens all over. One thing I made sure I did was tell every one of the guys that I worked with that didn't start, I was like, this, when I was an All-American, I did this for you guys too. You guys own this because I couldn't do what I did without you. And the same goes for these guys. To come in and day out and not be it's easy to be the best guy on the team. You're winning every day. Every day is a success.
Right.
So, and if you're winning in college matches, it's a lot easier. But if you're struggling through a season, man, that's tough. And it makes you a better person to be able to get through that and fight through that and see the reward in the process, I think. I have a lot of respect for those guys that actually aren't the starter guys, too.
It's a great point. It's a great point because, right, a lot of that payoff is missing from that experience.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
It's not missing. It's different, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
I act a lot different.
yeah. And it's different than what it was in high school. So you have to.
Yep.
So I could talk to you forever about it. I want to just kind of wrap up a little bit talking about you and your son. So you've written at Chris Ayres, is it .org? No.
Yeah, CoachAyres.com.
CoachAyres.com. Get that right. I'm sorry. A little bit about coaching your son or your son's wrestling. You grew up with with your uncle wrestling and really wanting to wrestle, and you wrote an article about your son, his wrestling. There's a pretty funny video of him. Did he really do that with your daughter?
Yeah. My daughter filmed him, and they had done that outside of the article. It was kind of funny. I just pulled that in because I knew they had done that. So
So can you tell me? I mean, there's a lot of pressure. It's a loaded situation. Your dad's a D1 coach, one of, you know, 80 guys in the country. And what's your relationship with him? Do you ever coach him, or are you just strictly dad, or how do you separate it?
So it's kind of funny. I got some interesting comments because the title is "My Son Will Wrestle Whether He Likes It or Not," and I'm being a little funny with it. And I was basically trying to highlight the great lessons one can gain from being a wrestler. Um, and so, yeah, so I wrote that, and I'm not pretty. I'm very light about the wrestling with him. He's 8 years old. I don't really care that much. I just want him to go have fun, and he actually loves it. So if he didn't want to do it, I wouldn't make him do it. But the interesting thing is, so it works out well. Joe Dubuque has an 8-year-old son as well. So they're on the same team. So it's pretty funny. What we do at matches is we both coach, but Joe will be the primary coach for my son, and then I coach Joe's son when he's out there.
Great
so
idea.
it works kind of well, and I don't really want to I don't want to push my son too much. I want it to be his experience, not mine. So it's yeah. So it's been really good actually. And if he doesn't want to listen to me, I don't try to make him listen to me or anything like that. He can do his own thing. So it's been really good. Our relationship has been a lot better that way too, because it's just he comes down to the wrestling room a lot, and then he can roll around. So it just fits our lifestyle well.
Right.
I'm a D1 wrestling coach, so it's been great, actually. It's been really good.
Want to just close with this. You talked about your love of winning and your not like of losing. And how has your relationship with wrestling changed from, at least high school, college, to now as a coach, an experienced and tenured, successful D1 coach? Has it changed much? What you love about the sport?
Oh, wow, that's a good one. It was interesting. As a wrestler, you stayed in your own world. So I just focused on me. I had a little bit of blinders on to everything else that was going on. With the team, I did my job, which helped the team. I was a captain multiple years, and I tried to make the team as good as it could be. But what happened was I was competing after college, and I was also coaching. And you lay in bed at night, and when I was an athlete only, I would be thinking only about me. Here's what I'm going to do training. Maybe I was visualizing technique that I wanted to do, but your mind just wanders a little bit. So then when I was competing and coaching, that's more or less it kept getting replaced with my guys and what the team was doing and other people's success. So I think what shifted for me is obviously I'm not competing anymore. It's really about helping people achieve their goals. I want the team to be great. There's no doubt about it. I love winning matches for the team. But what I love more than that is seeing someone realize their potential and achieve something that they worked very hard for. So for me, like Brett placing was huge. That was the best moment of my time here.
Yeah.
At Lehigh, Troy Letters winning NCAA title, I tell everyone, that was one of the top 5 best moments of my life. And so basically that pushed out any of my own personal. I have a beautiful wife and 2 kids, so it gets narrowed down pretty quickly. But so for me, the switch has been, I just really want to help individuals actualize what they want to be. So that's been the major shift. And then I do enjoy the building of a team too, sort of the corporate piece of running a program. I do love fundraising. I love trying to pull people into the program. I love managing the program as well. So I would say that's like number 2 thing that's different about when I competed to how I'm coaching now.
Okay. Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I see myself here.
Okay.
I see us being at the very least top 10 in the country every year. And that's my vision right now for my own personal career. We've built this to a point, it's been 10 years. We built this to a pretty good point where I feel like things are going to start steamrolling here. especially the way recruiting's going, especially the way the team is starting to wrestle, the way we've been preaching, um, the way they're reacting to the schedule we put before them. I think that's a very realistic goal for us. Where 10 years ago, I would say 9 years ago, when I first got here, I definitely thought we'd be top 10 in the country really quickly. But after about a year or two, I don't know where I thought we'd be. But right now, I think we can do anything we want to do.
Okay. I'm going to put you on the spot. You can take a pass. If you had one thing that you could choose to change at the NCAA level to improve the sport, you don't have to limit. Did you have anything on the top of your mind?
Yeah, I got lots of things. It's just picking the right one.
Pick two. I don't care. Three.
Well, the first thing this year I was really, and I might catch some heat for this, but they made a lot of rule interpretations mid-season.
Yeah.
That were very confusing and not communicated well. That actually cost my guys matches. They actually won my guys matches too. So it's a two-way street.
Yeah.
I can show specific examples of both things, but I did not like the way they handled the rules this year, for sure.
Okay.
The other thing is just more promotion from every individual program. I would like to just build the dual meets and just get more people coming to dual meets. We worked pretty hard at it, and we weren't always successful, but it's starting to pay off. So those are a couple quick things.
Okay.
But the rule thing really got to me this year. I also think I think they should just make it a step out. It's a little confusing, the edge wrestling.
Yeah.
That's a very hot topic too. It's a very divided coaches group on which way to go with that.
What side are you on?
I'm on. I think 2 feet out. If you go 2 feet out of bounds, it should be a point for the other guy.
First time?
First time.
First time. Okay.
Look at freestyle. Okay, so 2 feet out. So freestyle, they just don't go out of bounds, right?
Yeah.
They just don't go out of bounds. Maybe you make some kind of adjustment so guys don't run a guy out of bounds when they're in on the leg. But if I have an underhook and I push you out of bounds, shame on you.
Yeah.
And I'm playing the edge too, so I could lose that battle too.
Totally.
It's just confusing right now. I'm pulling you out. You're pushing me out.
Yeah.
Refs are calling stalemates right before it gets to the edge. There's
Right.
some guys who avoid the call. Some coaches think it's going great though.
Yeah.
I will say I do. To play it fair, matches are quicker right now. Guys are going out of bounds less.
Us.
When they do go out of bounds, there's just a lot of confusion around how it's being called, I think.
Right.
Which is a little frustrating.
It seems a little bit like middle ground, and they're going to incrementally change it, which causes more confusion versus just taking a big step and let people adjust. Because even at the Olympic level, push-outs were far more prevalent when they introduced the rule than they are now.
Yeah,
People have
for sure.
adjusted. People
Yep.
adjusted, and now it's less about having the single leg up and just pushing somebody out of bounds. And cause, anyway.
I'd hate to see that. So that would be the one issue is I don't like that in freestyle. And I actually think, why don't you finish it and get two?
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder why they push them out because you've got the guy's leg up. But anyway, yeah,
Okay.
push out. So anyway, yeah.
Hey, Coach, I really appreciate you taking the time. I'll catch up with you during the season. Good
Awesome.
luck.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.